All right. This was a record-breaking week at Inappropriate Earl, thanks to the great Axeman, Joey Allen from Warrant, who had our highest ever single day number of views and led us to the biggest week ever at Inappropriate Earl. So thank you to Joey Allen. Once again, follow him on Twitter at Warrant Rocks. And thank you to Stevie Rochelle for providing the soundtrack to Inappropriate Earl. That's the great metal band Tough. Just a couple years too late, but they're back. They're back. They're still touring, unlike most of those 80s relics. And if you're a fan of 80s metal, go check out Stevie's website, metalsludge.tv, which is basically Inappropriate Earl in a website. It's keep up to date with the members of Slick Toxic and Kicks and Kiss and anything in between.
And everybody else that you have a t-shirt of.
Yeah. Like, you know, if you ever want to know what the drummer from the Peppermint Creeps is up to, Stevie's probably having the guy paint his house. So Stevie Rochelle, good man. Follow him on Twitter, at ToughCDs, TUFF. And he's provided the music since day one. And, thank you. Thanks to all the listeners. And how could I forget our only sponsor of Inappropriate Earl, another Steven, but this is Stephen. Stephen Piercy's Mike Knuckles. Buy a pair of 50. That's at Mike Knuckles, M-I-C Knuckles. I don't think you idiots out there need me to spell Knuckles for you. But also one of the great hockey goons of all time, Chris Knuckles Nyland, who's got dementia at 40, but he made some money. So there you go. Shout out to Chris Nyland, even though he probably can't spell his name. All right, this is a special Inappropriate Earl. It's no joke, man. Some of those hockey fighters, they don't know where they are right now.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of their jerseys, so I feel bad for supporting their demise.
Well, Earl, do they suffer the same concussion thing that the football players and the wrestlers deal with?
Oh, even worse. It's probably more along the line of pro wrestling, because they've been fighting,
getting body checked and.
Well, it's not so much the body checks; it's the they've been fighting since they were 15, 16 years old in junior hockey and pee-wee hockey. Maybe not pee-wee hockey, but junior hockey. So about 16 to however long they live. So their brains are mush. And they did a great X-ray of Derek Bugard's head, and the boogeyman who killed himself. Unfortunately. I got a couple of his jerseys that they tripled in value the minute he did it. So, but they did a scan of his head, and like you and I would have maybe 3 or 4 small black dots on our head, just from wear and tear.
Right.
He had 28.
Oh, Jesus! I can imagine.
Well, who knows what those guys in the 70s and 80s, hockey fighters and wrestlers, football players, Lynn
Coke
Swan.
addicts.
Yeah, who knows what was going on back then. But, this is the longest intro ever for a guest. But you've been on, this might be a first of Inappropriate. I think this is your third podcast, second official.
Yeah.
But you were off the books on the Danish and O'Neill UFC podcast, which they rumors of a return Saturday night for a special UFC
right on
appearance, because there's 2 heavyweight fights on that card. And Tony Hinchcliffe, Kill Tony, follow him. He'll be there at the fights.
Oh, of course.
So
is CM Punk involved in this at all? Is he doing commentating, or is he? I know he's not fighting yet. But
he's laying low, man. They better put him against that amputee guy. So
wow. Well, dude, I heard you mention Peppermint Creeps. What's the story there? Because that name sounds really familiar. Not from childhood or anything, but since I've been out here, maybe seeing stickers or shit laying on the street.
Well, first of all, this is Jordan Lee. Let's welcome Jordan back for more. One of my good friends in life, not just in comedy, but Peppermint Creeps were a LA local band, and their shtick was they kept the dream of 80s glam rock alive to the 100th level. Had no success at all. I mean, their record sales made like the Vinnie Vincent Invasion sales seem like the Beatles. I mean, but they wore full makeup. Like, I mean, kabuki,
Okay.
like Kiss style makeup, but they looked even wackier than Kiss, like crazier than King Diamond.
Yeah.
I mean,
And they've recently played like maybe the last 5 years or so, or 10 years.
One guy, I think the drummer, I think his name was Tracy. He died a couple years ago, so I don't think they play anymore. But they were kind of great marketers. They, everyone has seen a Peppermint Creeps sticker in a bathroom at a club, and stuff like that. And but they would play like clubs and raves, and like the Whiskey. But they weren't the best musicians.
Did they play Makeup? Do you remember when Makeup was around?
That I don't know.
It was like one Saturday night a month, and they would always hold it at El Rey, and everybody went. It was like, it wasn't a rave, but they would always have like, it was almost like a masquerade ball, and Tie Me Down was the host of it usually, and they would have a band there as the guest, but they would just play all kinds of music around it, like before and after them.
They probably did. I mean,
it was a lot of the Rainbow crowd. Was
I'm sure Tie Me Down put his dirty fingers on them, told him, Tammy's like a junior Gene Simmons without the success or charisma. And, I mean, I saw him at Rocklahoma with Faster Pussycat come out, and I think the whole band came out in full Nazi regalia and did the goose steps to House of Pain, and it's crazy. No, I'm serious. It's like, wow, these guys are fucking nuts.
Holy shit, dude!
I thought seeing Y&T play at 2 in the afternoon in all leather when it was like 400 fucking degrees out was crazy. Poor Y&T. I mean, they're like a legendary, Northern California band. They're playing at 2 in the afternoon in Pryor, Oklahoma, in a steam room. Basically, it was so hot, and they then.
Right, with a bunch of day drunks out there.
Oh yeah, it was the worst. You get those afternoon slots, and they're a good band. Like, they were a good band. They should have been much bigger, but Peppermint Creeps, they're like a LA. They might have played a few shows outside of LA, but I'm sure they were sent back pretty fast. But they would walk around in the daytime in their outfits, like they really.
Just never dropped it. Always in character.
Yeah, it's like seeing a member of GWAR at Trader Joe's in full gear. You'd be like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" But so, if you were an LA native, you knew who they were. But I don't think they had a lot of. Anyone who knew of them outside of LA was on Metal Sludge, which is an amazing website. I mean, Stevie's a friend of mine, and I, in full disclosure, advertise on his website, but that's the crowd I want.
Yeah, of course.
So, and it's tough.
Speaking of crowd you want, that's kind of what we were talking about today. You and I, I thought it would be a great podcast to talk to you about becoming a paid regular at the Comedy Store. Yeah,
breaking news. 15 years into my stand-up comedy career, I have been I've become a paid regular at the Comedy Store, which means I get to get paid to do comedy there.
A whopping how much? How much you get per set?
I think it's like $15, but then when you get the main room and you split it with the other comics,
right, you start making more.
I probably won't get that anytime soon, but I don't really care, to be honest with you about that.
It's pretty cool because this is the first group that has done a showcase for Adam for the Comedy Store since Tommy was fired.
Tommy's the old talent coordinator. He was fired for interesting reasons. I don't want to get sued, so I'll just say he was let go amidst a cloud of controversy, and I think that was about 3 months ago. And absolutely shocking to me that no other comedy club or talent agency in town would swoop him up. So that tells you what he knew about comedy. So,
this is the this is kind of what I mean. As long as I've known you, this is what I thought always was the goal. Not the end game, but your immediate goal that was within grasp. This was the one. How did you get a spot? Considering that you and I both know there was crowds and crowds of people that thought they would be within the first group to get a chance, or that they deserve to be. And Adam gave 6 spots?
5 spots.
5 spots for the showcase.
2 people passed, and me and Candace Thompson, who had her first paid regular set last night and did great.
Where was she at in the lineup?
12:30.
Okay.
I mean, we're not going to be getting Dalia spots,
right? But I know that in the past, sometimes he's given the very opening spot to a newest paid regular as well.
Yeah, it's random
before Argus spot.
Yeah, and it's. I think it's all pretty much random. Like the showcase, he put us in the middle of the lineup on a regular show, which was really good.
On what night was this?
On a Thursday night. We, I think,
generally a pretty not dead night, but not one of the more happening nights of the Comedy Store.
Well, it's weird up there Thursday nights. It's either good or bad, but last Thursday was great. It was a great lineup. You had like Neil Brennan went on right before the showcases. Adam Ray went on. Rick Ingram kind of was hosting, and he did great. And then it started off with Kyle Ray, everyone had a good set.
Okay.
No one bombed. No one had a okay.
Now, how do you think you got picked? Like when
I don't know.
When were you notified? Was this out of the blue? Was there something that you guys had to kind of submit to showcase, to want to showcase, or?
When I slipped Adam $5,000 in cash, I thought I had a good shot. No, I was, the last 2 weeks have been such a blur. I think maybe 2-3 weeks ago I was told, and then I mean, who knows why he picked me? I mean, I think he had seen me about 4 years ago at the Tempe Improv, opening up for Rob Schneider, and
okay,
I did about as well as the opener could.
Because here's the thing, you're friends with Adam, but
yes.
There's a lot of people that are better friends with Adam that didn't get a spot. So I mean, it's clear that wasn't how he was picking.
Oh no! I mean, if Adam was up to no good,
I mean, even just picking the people that got a showcase. I mean, I don't think that's what I was curious about, was like, where did he see you first, or like, because Adam's at the Comedy Store, and we all know you just weren't getting spots at the Comedy Store.
I was getting nothing from Tommy, and I was on Don's podcast. I think 2 nights ago. I don't want to, try not to repeat too many stories, but it's kind of germane to the topic. Not Dan Germain, but just Germain. Tommy, for whatever reason, did not like me. He didn't like my comedy, but he did several strange things that made no sense to me, like
just fucking with you. Or?
Oh yeah, and like a lot of people are like, Earl, you don't talk about Tommy anymore. He's you don't have to worry about him anymore. But in the
he's not gone. He's not gone. Let's put it that way.
But I mean, in the guise of this podcast, I have to talk about him,
of course,
because
he was holding you back. He was whether there was a reason for it or not, he was single-handedly holding you back from.
Oh, absolutely.
Being in the one club that you would grab a great audience.
I should have been passed years ago. And now to people who don't me, you or Tommy, they're like, well, this guy sounds pretty cocky. There's, and comedy's subjective, but there's just borderline levels of like.
You're joining the greats of Robert William Abervaya on that wall.
Yeah, and he's a homeless maniac who Tommy really enjoyed putting up a lot. Let's just say, without getting into too much detail, that several people were passed based on gifts given to Tommy in lieu of their comic talent. So
allegedly.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. But I try not to hate too much on the guy. But since he was such a dick to me, it's hard to like keep the feelings in.
Right, of course.
One night, Barris was late because he was with the Ding Dongers at Halloween. And if you know the LA Halloween parade in West Hollywood,
I was probably there that night.
Just a couple of years ago, and
okay.
So Don was late. Let's just say there was a paid regular who Tommy put up a lot bombing. And we all bomb in the OR, but I mean, this was a decent crowd. They were kind of drunk, Halloween,
right.
Good atmosphere.
And he put a crowd killer up.
Well, yeah. And so Tommy comes up to me, grabs me by the arm, says, dude, hold the crowd till Dawn gets here. And I thought that was kind of weird that you're asking someone who you give nothing to hold a crowd because a guy you give 2 spots a week to is eating it, and people are walking like it's the Million Man March out of
So
the
who was the
OR.
comic that was eating it, Earl?
I don't want to say that, but he's still
Hey,
out
it was
there.
worth a shot. Fuck it.
So I went up there, held the crowd. Not one person left. Did about 15 minutes. Barris comes in. He does his thing late night. Does great.
Now, was Tommy watching your set at all, or
Of course.
was he off roaming around?
No, he was watching for the most part, and then he comes out to me. Great job, dude. Thank you. Really saved it tonight. Thanks, brother. So what's the reward I got? Is the next month no spots, and this guy's routinely getting spots, and it's like,
yeah, right. I totally get it. Yeah.
And then, there's so many stories. I could talk for the next 4 hours about his mental abuse.
I mean, we really should talk about it because that people need to understand this isn't just anybody being passive paid regular. This is 15 years worth of you just being literally kept out of the club for whatever reason. You have every right to tell people why, different things that have pissed you off because now you've reached a big goal, man.
But I'm trying to really just lay the facts out. I'm not talking shit about him.
Right, dude. But
but a lot of people
part
do.
of why I think you should tell the stories is because there are other comics. A lot of comics listen to your podcast in different cities, and they're probably encountering this at their club, and they don't have 7 clubs like we have in LA to choose from. It might be interesting for them to hear some of your stories and if it's happening to them, maybe ways around it, or who knows, man. Just
Start
who
your
knows?
Own club. But
I encountered it in music, dude. When I played music, I was doing indie music, and at the time there was Spaceland, which is now the Satellite, and then there was Silver Lake Lounge and the Echo. It was like 3 or 4 places that if you were an indie band and you wanted to get played on the radio, you had to play there. Well, I tried to get booked at him. And you'd find out of the 4 clubs, the same guy booked 3 of them. And the 4th club, if you called him, said, we don't book anybody that hasn't played those places yet. For whatever reason, that guy would not return my calls. He wouldn't return my emails. I wouldn't even try and send him music. I would just say, hey, where's the best place to send stuff? He wouldn't respond. Then I would just email stuff. I would mail stuff. Never could get into his clubs at all. Then finally, an outside promoter gets me a gig at one of those, and he gets it on Super Bowl Sunday at 5 p.m.
It's a good spot.
Yeah, right. and we actually did a great job, but there was nobody there booking that comes on a Sunday to watch the Sunday bands. That's going to give you a spot during the week. So I've been where you've been, and that's why I get it.
Yeah, I just there's a lot of comics. In fairness to Tommy, who he ain't the reason they were held back.
Right. And that's what everybody thought when he was gone, that this was their time to shine. That's kind of why I'm interested in, okay, so you got one of the 5 spots. How many days before your spot did they tell you that you were going to do it?
I think about 2 weeks. I
you had 2 weeks to
don't
prepare?
remember the exact
right, but generally
it's about 2 weeks.
Okay, so you had some time to think about what you were going to do, and you knew you were going to have how long of a set?
5 minutes, man. It's like a TV set. 5 minutes. So I knew. After 15 years in comedy, if I didn't have 5 minutes of good material, then I made some mistakes.
Now, did you plan out your material beforehand, or were you going to base it off the crowd?
Oh no, it's I learned my lesson once when on a Barry Katz project that I bombed on. I've told this story I think I've told this story as many times as my gangbang stories. But, it actually happened at the Comedy Store. Whitney Cummings was the host. It's a show called One Night Stand Up. It was a dating show. 8 comics, 1 girl. The comic did their act. The girl never saw you. She just listened to your act. So I did a rape joke right out of the chute, and it's still to this day I think it's the best joke I've ever written. From the idea of the joke to the build up to the punchline, and it's just a story about the Duke lacrosse team, and this is in '06, so it was a really prevalent story, and I was like, yeah, the captain of the lacrosse team had a degree in economics. So if anyone knew 2 didn't go into 47, it was that guy.
Now, did you use that for your showcase?
No.
Okay.
400 people in the main room at the Comedy Store that night. Huge camera crews. I mean, lights, everything. A dead silence other than Dave Taylor laughing.
Had you planned out that joke beforehand?
Yeah.
Or did it just
absolutely.
pop into your head?
No. I thought, it's a dating game show. This will be like, maybe she likes bad or bad boy, edgy comics.
Yeah.
And then I followed it up with a race joke that was even worse. And then, I was 3 minutes in. I'm like asking how much time is left. It was just awful. So I learned my lesson. Don't ever do a showcase for anything unprepared.
Okay.
So I was pretty prepared, and I knew, and it just worked out. Kyle Ray was the first showcase, and he had a really good set.
Okay.
And so the room, I just lucked out. The room was hot, and after Kyle,
now, did that fuck you up at all? Was there anything that any part of you that was like, shit, everybody's killing? Like that makes it even more stressful for you because you have to kill now too.
Well, you're following Neil Brennan, who's the creator of the Chappelle Show. I mean, Adam Ray's in movies. There was like one other like TV type comic, like a Theo.
Probably
Von.
Pauly or somebody. Was Pauly on that?
No,
night?
He wasn't there. It was like a Theo.
I saw
Von.
D'Elia was on that set. Or
He
after
followed
you guys,
the showcases.
Yeah,
but he, what cool thing about him was he watched every showcase, which I thought was
very
really cool.
Yeah.
He's a big comic. He's probably the biggest one going.
Probably needs openers at some point too, and wouldn't mind checking people out.
But I mean, I'm not sure what his reasonings were, but I mean, I thought that was really cool. He sat. He sat.
Did he try and fuck you afterward?
No. Well, he hugged me and said, "Great set, man."
Was that all?
Yeah, and I said to him, "Hey, man, you might want to look at that lineup sheet. It'll probably be the last time your name and my name will be that close to each other." Because he goes on.
Frame it.
I did. I took it actually.
Good for you, dude.
I mean, you see the lineup beforehand. It's Kirk Fox. I mean, all these.
Oh, killers! Yeah, Rick Ingram,
Argus Hamilton, and then the showcases were just dropped right in the middle.
Okay, and then Jeremiah had to follow you. Wow.
Yeah, and he did. He did really good. I mean.
Yeah, everybody on here that I've seen is a great. I've seen him have crushing sets. So
Candace did great.
Anybody that would have been passed, it wouldn't have surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, there really was no, no wrong choice. Adam could have picked Sandro and Kyle, and I wouldn't have said, well, that's not fair. I should have been passed.
Now, was there any part where when you were watching Kyle's set, was there anything did you decide to change anything last minute about your set?
No, he was doing really good, and I had for once in my comedy life, I had somewhat of a game plan in terms of do this joke, and then.
Do you mind if you, can you tell people kind of the way you laid out your set, how you decided to start the set, how you were going to end it to make sure that it was.
Well, I started the set based on my appearance right now, which is rare for me to have a full beard, and I kind of look like I should be on Sons of Anarchy. So I started off with no, I don't watch porn. I know it looks like I produce it, and that gets a big laugh.
Yeah.
And then I'm followed up with I can't watch porn. It's not for religious reasons. It's just that 20 seconds in, my glasses fog up. That gets a big laugh.
And you have a good delivery. Yeah, you have such a straight-faced delivery about things.
I mean, Kyle was kind of not high energy, but he's like, mid energy.
I wonder if maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe because all of you guys are very drastically different energies.
Yeah, and Jeremiah, who went on after me, is like very
physical,
like Dane Cook,
and Sandro's not.
And then Candace went on after him, and then Sandro. So I'm not, you really have to talk to Adam in terms of why he placed us in the lineup he did. But
yeah,
I don't think any one of us would complain about the spots we got.
And were you getting a lot of laughs?
I mean, every joke was hitting, and it really went as, I love it when my jokes take 2 seconds to go. Like I did the N-word joke right after the porn joke, which is when I auditioned for Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
I won't do the whole joke because it's a it's like a 2-minute joke, but basically
they can wait for the special.
Yeah, I mean, basically the punchline is the producer asked me if I'm comfortable saying the N-word on camera, and I looked at him and said, "And get paid?" And you could tell it was great because the front maybe the first 2-3 rows kind of chuckled, and then the middle got it, and then at the back of the room, like where Dalia and like all the boys were, it was a big laugh. So it was like a great wave. And then I went into my this new joke or semi new joke that I do about the starting lineups of the football teams, when the little Brady Bunch cubicle pops up, and
Yeah.
it's just funny how, like I do it based on the Steelers because that's my favorite team. So Troy Polamalu, he does it very eloquently, and Troy Polamalu, University of Southern California. Then they get to the next couple guys, and it's pretty normal. And then they get to the last two guys who are complete morons, and like the one guy just gives the city he's from. It's like he didn't even go to school. He's just like, hey, Mike Mitchell, Los Angeles.
Jesus, dude.
And that got a big laugh. And then I finished. My closer was a Michael Vick joke. About I adopted a dog from Michael Vick's ranch, and that gets a bit of mid chuckle from everyone. I'm like, my dog was 13-3, lost his last 3 fights. That gets a pretty big laugh, and then I followed up with, I'm just kidding. My dog was 26-0. I don't adopt fucking losers.
That is a good one, dude.
It really was for me the perfect 5-minute set. And it probably would be a set if I had an audition for a TV show. I would do that set. Now, maybe they wouldn't let me do that set, but that's what I would showcase.
Now, I've noticed, Earl, I don't think I've ever seen you with your phone out recording a set. Do you do that at all?
Well, I'm really never in a room where I want to hear the reaction of the audience. So
right, but you don't.
I might tomorrow night at the Comedy Store. Friday night, 1 o'clock.
Just out of curiosity, like how, because I've seen you do some of the same jokes in different places, and it's funny how we've been in places where I'm the only one laughing, and then we'll be in places where everybody's laughing, and it's the same joke. Yeah. Sometimes maybe a little slight delivery difference or something, but that's what I wondered if you ever record yourself and listen to your own delivery and what you get a better reaction.
Well, I know myself pretty well, and like last night, and this is one of the good things about being past at the Comedy Store. You Well, I've always parked my car there. You got to act like you're a pass there, and that's good enough. But like, you get fallout spots on Tuesday and Wednesdays, which means if someone doesn't show up, you put your name on the list, and you
get a
free spot basically. So last night I had a set at the Laugh Factory, which went really well. And then I was in such a good mood. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go to the store, see if I can get a fallout. And, of course, a couple people didn't show up. Actually, like 4 people didn't show up. So there's like a whole hour they needed to fill. So I got to go on after Jeff Richards.
Which is a great friend of yours.
A great friend of mine.
Did he happen to do his Earl Skakel impression when he brought you up?
No, he does the music. He does these music songs right now. So
right.
Which is tough to follow because it sets like a real high energy environment to the room, and that's
he's basically doing a music video on stage.
Yeah, and that's really not my my style is exactly how I'm talking now, and very Stephen Wright-ish, and mixed in with a little maybe Robert Schimmel or whatever. And
were you nervous at all doing your set?
Not last night because it was a pretty loose environment in the room. It was kind of dead, but then people started to walk in once they saw me up. And
what about your showcase set?
Yeah, I had a full-on panic attack. I worked out the showcase was at like 10 o'clock. Went to the gym at 7 just to get the excess nerves off. And what I shouldn't have, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I went to Trader Joe's real fast. Got like a pasta thing you can cook up in 5 minutes, and I just shoveled it in my mouth. And 30 seconds after the last bite, just the worst anxiety hit me. And for 20 minutes, I was naked in my bathroom, hunched over the toilet, trying to throw up, and I couldn't.
Wow!
Like it wouldn't come out, but it was that feeling, and I was sweating, drenched in sweat.
Yeah,
drenched. I don't sweat even when I work out hard, and I was like. You would think someone poured a bucket of water. You think I did an ice bucket challenge.
Wow.
And this was at about 9 o'clock. And I was like, oh, fuck, man. I
Dude, I mean, that's because I think of those, and when I knew you were because I was texting you quite a bit when I found out you were going to do that spot, because I know me, if I were in your position, I would have been like, I've been waiting to do this for 15 years. What if I don't do well tonight? What if Adam gets fired next week and I don't, and then we get another guy that won't ever let me do a show? It's just like I'd be running all these things through my head, and I would probably do the same thing you did and just completely just have a moment where I just lost it all for a while.
But I mean, I haven't thrown up in 30 years. I mean, last time I threw up, I was like 11 years old. I don't know if it was like it was a cheese pasta. I don't know if it was just bad to eat cheese and with the nerves going on. And then after about 20 minutes, I was still feeling sick, but I was like, fuck, I got to take a shower and get going. So, it ended up, I was like, well, I'll take a shower. And if I throw up in the shower, that's fine. And
were you cool when you got, like, once you got to the store?
Once I got to the store, it was
comfortable
still slightly throw uppy feeling, but I knew I wasn't going to throw up. And, I still don't know what it was. I mean, I've played in front of some huge crowds with Schneider, like 2,000 people. And I didn't even come close to having a panic attack.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but this is the Comedy Store. This was, I mean,
oh yeah.
Say what anybody wants to say, but getting your name on that wall, that's like the Hall of Fame. It really is.
Kind of. I mean,
you can say what you want about people that are on there. They were all passed for whatever reason. Robert William Abrevaya might not be your cup of tea, and he might not be a great comic by most people's standards, but the guy's been doing it for so long, and he is known for that green suit and those same kind of jokes. It's one of those things. It's like, I talked to the guy, and he tells me he was working the door before it was even the Comedy Store, and he was doing his first sets there. He was doing his set. It's just, he's like a staple, and it's almost like an honorary thing.
Now, that's the guy, for those of you who don't know who Robert William Abrevaya is. He's literally been at the Comedy Store for 30 years.
Yeah, since it was the Funny Farm.
He closed out Sunday and Monday nights at the store, and like he's been around so long. Like Sam Kinison used to throw shit at him, and then me and Ryan O'Neal picked up the torch, and now we throw shit at him. But now it's the heat's on that we shouldn't throw stuff at him. So every now and then I'll throw a menu at him, and or a couple years ago, Don Barris and Don used to have these laser pointers. And we would shine him right in his eyes. I mean, I don't know how his retinas didn't burn out. So, but yeah, I mean, I'll be happy my name's on the wall, but I really want the spots. I mean,
Now after your set, you told me that like they don't tell you that night.
No, they don't.
When did he tell you?
Actually, he didn't tell me the next day. But everyone, I had a really good set, so I thought the chances were high.
Right, but I'm sure, like you said, everybody had a great set.
Yeah. So it's like maybe he's under orders to pass a girl, and
or he was going to pass all of you, or
well, I knew that wasn't. I didn't think there was any way on earth he was going to pass all five of us. Although all five of us could have been passed. I figured 1 to 2 people. Because, spots are tight now.
Yeah, of course.
And that's without adding anybody. So
right, you have to have people not coming around or doing other shit. And a lot of people that perform there.
Yeah.
Let's face it, that's the only place they perform in town.
Well, I think that's one of the things I hope changes. And now it's going to sound like I'm selfish because I'm wanting the spots for myself, which I do. But, I think like if I were talent coordinator, I would kind of start to eliminate the people who just use the Comedy Store as like a hangout. It's like, this is a business, man. You don't have to be on TV, to get spots here, but you just can't perform here, man.
Right. And it's only hurting them because those are the kind of people that they're not going to get seen by anyone that's in a casting position if you're not going anywhere else.
But if casting people who I think are starting to come back to the store, see these people who just kind of like, that was one of the gripes I had with Tommy, was he would put up these people who just they didn't go up anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's just like a social like experience for them, and
getting out of the house, and
do that.
It's an ego booster for a lot of those guys. Just wanting to have 15 minutes where somebody's forced to listen to them talk.
Yeah, but do that at Sal's Comedy Hole, not at the Comedy Store. I mean, or do it at Marty's. Pay $5 and
go to the haha. Or
go to the
something.
haha, and go to Lovitz is I think gone, but
no, they're relocating it here.
Well, I don't even think Lovitz played Lovitz. So, but the Comedy Store is like the #1 club in the world, or at least it should be.
Yeah, it is.
It's not a, you don't go to the Dodger Stadium to just beat around a few balls.
Yeah. Fucking play putt.
Well, I mean, I take it serious. It's a business to me. So, I mean, if I was
and it's also an art form, man. It's doing what you guys do well it's not something everybody can do.
Well, it's the hardest job in the world.
So you knew afterward that you did a great set. You said, right. So when did they say, hey, you'll find out tomorrow? You'll find out.
Someone said, I think you find out tomorrow. And then, because I had done Montreal auditions a few times where one year in particular, I had the best set at the first set and the callback, and I didn't get it. So I was not gonna go.
You weren't going to assume anything, but so how did they tell you?
So Brian Moses called the next day about Friday at night, noon or something, and said, Adam said you can call in for spots. Congratulations, you're passed.
Oh, so, fuck yeah.
And he said, he was very nice and said it's long overdue. And then that day,
very fitting that the host of the roast battle would tell the house racist that he's passed.
Yeah, which might be the reason I was passed to a certain degree.
I think it should have been taken into consideration because that's a big part of the show. It's definitely an interesting part, and it's just like the Negro Wave. There's certain things that are unlike that there's not in any other show, and it really does create what makes that show what it is.
But now we're the house hecklers. We're not the house racists no longer. It's just the characters had reached their limit.
Yeah. Everybody's getting politically correct. It sounds like I'll say it.
But we had our first week where on Roast Battle where we were just the house hecklers, and we were like those people on the Muppets.
Oh God,
crazy! Not Bert and Ernie, but they I don't know their names, but they
God,
it was like Mystery Science Theater.
Were you still allowed to do racist stuff?
Or no, and it was great. It was awesome. Everyone got it.
I know. So. I knew that's something they weren't going to let go very long, but it's still like.
Well, it was our decision. We brought it to them. Everyone's kept us. Oh no, just keep doing the racist stuff.
Right.
Everyone loves it. It's like,
right. At some point, you're running out of like.
Well, it'll never get on TV.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, what's the point in doing it? It's
yeah, exactly. You and I actually had that conversation a few weeks ago where you're like, it might be to a point where you're just like, there's not a place for you in it anymore because you didn't really want to be known as that guy all the time. Well, and you sometimes run out of like, how many ways can you say the same?
I mean, it's like being if you're auditioning for the Pittsburgh Steelers as a running back, and they already have 3 great running backs. It's like you can do amazing job in training camp, but you're probably not going to get on the team. It's like, what's the point in doing it anymore?
Yeah, of course.
So that's how we felt with the house racist characters. We just there's no other. And
did you getting past have anything to do with it? Like now you hold yourself to a little bit different.
Oh, I've gotten a lot of good things from Roast Battle. At the Laugh Factory last night, I had a agent at one of the big 3 agencies in town saying, "Hey, dude, I see you every week. Kill it at Roast Battle. I'm going to bring a manager out to see you."
Right on.
So I've gotten a lot, and I think I
was actually going to ask you like how much has changed since you were passed, if not just your confidence level. Is that done anything for you?
Oh yeah, I mean, like last night at the Laugh Factory, I walked on that stage like I had the biggest dick in the room.
Well,
and I probably do, but I mean, it wasn't cocky. There's a difference between cockiness and like confidence. But I was just like, no, Rob Schneider crowds at the Laugh Factory are unlike any crowds on earth. It's super hot, and what he does, I think, is really cool. Is he hosts the show?
Really?
So
that is very cool.
Well, he goes on stage, bites the bullet,
sets the tone,
does 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, and he brought me up. And, it's just the crowd gives you that instant respect of, wow, Rob Schneider just brought this guy up.
Does he do multiple sets?
Huh?
Does he do multiple set? Like, does he bring you up and
Yeah, he brings me up,
then
but
go back up again after? Or
yeah, oh yeah, he hosts the whole
Okay.
show, and a lot of A level comics would not do that. They would like, all right, Earl, you host, you bite the bullet,
Yeah.
bring me up.
Yeah,
and,
of
you know,
course.
you're owed that.
Yeah, of course.
I would have no problem doing that, but but I was very confident last night, and it's like, you know, you take someone like Matt Edgar, and this is why I had him on my podcast right around when Tommy was let go.
Yeah.
I've never seen someone improve from the first time I saw him to now, because he just got up a lot, and so that's what I want. You know, just, you know,
You have to be in front of a crowd and be on that stage.
And I'm, 15 years in. I'm fairly polished. Certainly have a long way to go.
Had you given up on trying to do the Comedy Store? Before Tommy was fired?
Oh, absolutely. I was
just given up.
I stopped going to, I really just stopped going to the Ding Dong show on Monday nights so early, because it was just like, why I can't be up here for 4 or 5 hours and see everyone get up but me.
Yeah. The Ding Dongers even have a place to perform and you don't.
Yeah, which is fine, but I mean, they're not really doing stand up per se.
Well, that's what
but and then I stopped calling in for development spots, because it's like, what's the point? He doesn't, like, Adam watches the development spots, or if he's not able to for whatever reason, because they're every night, he can't watch them all. He will have someone go in the room, sit down, watch, and report back to him.
Okay, good. That's good to know for other comics that are listening.
So, Adam watches Potluck. Tommy never did that. Tommy,
I was actually thinking that. I was like, I wonder if Adam's doing any of that, because I always wondered that when Tommy was around. I was like, what is he watching? What is he not? Because he was always in the booth, and when there were development spots in the belly room or the main room, he was not in those. He was just not in those rooms ever.
He was just coasting toward the end, which is fine. He still has supporters, which is mind blowing to me. But that's like Don Barris said, I don't have to worry about him anymore, and I know.
Right. He's not a part of your world if you don't want him to be.
Yeah, and he never will be, and I don't think he'll ever work in the comedy business again, because if he was, he would have been swooped up. Like, if Adam left the Comedy Store tomorrow night, he'd have a job Monday at the Improv, the Laugh Factory,
right,
at the Ice House, at Hermosa, at some talent agency would say, hey, talent, do you want to be our whatever?
Yeah, dude, and we know at the Comedy Store that can happen. We've literally watched a brand new door guy security guard become the manager of the club within about a month span.
And he's good, though. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, who else? Where else does that happen?
I mean, he's professional, and Terrence is an awesome dude, and like, that's the kind of employee I would want. Like, he started at, like, not a low level job, but security.
Right. He came in there. He wasn't, he didn't, he wasn't known. He wasn't a comic or anything. He came in there as a security guard and just,
But I mean, I think that the changing of the tide at the Comedy Store, started when, like, Eric came in to manage.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Then, Richie, and I mean, they just got new management. And, it wasn't like younger guys who wanted to have fun. And I mean, Eric and Terrence and Richie and Adam are like, Adam came from the Tempe Improv.
Yeah.
So, which was at the time the number one, I think, club in the country. So,
was it really?
I think, but there might be arguments for another, like, the Comedy Works in Denver is awesome too.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I mean, that was the first road gig I had with Schneider. And that lady who owns both. There's two of them in Denver. Like, nothing goes on without her knowing.
Yeah.
There's not one comic who gets on that stage who she doesn't know, or like, I'm sure she said, "Who's this guy, Earl Skakel?" Oh, Rob Schneider's bringing him up. But, there's nothing. She reminded me, even though I never met Mitzi, of like what
she was
Mitzi
that connected person. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she started out as a waitress at the club. She now owns both, and like, it's like, you can ask any comic, and a lot, who's ever played Comedy Works. They'll be like, "That's a great club."
Yeah, and everybody mentions her on podcasts. They love her.
I want to say, I forget her name. It's a guy's name, like Barry or Mel, but or something like that. And like, she even, after the weekend when I was there with Rob, she's like, "What do you think about our club?" Like she was like looking to
Improve
how
it.
can I improve it?
Yeah.
This guy probably sees it all, because Rob goes in, does a set, leaves.
Yeah.
I want to know what this guy thinks, and that's what Eric, Adam, Richie, and Terrence like. I think they value people's opinions, whereas the past administration was just all over the map.
Well, yeah, I mean that was it was definitely one guy running the asylum at that point. But what did Rob Schneider say when you were passed? Did he know, or does he know, or
He's too busy to appreciate it,
to know what it is to you?
Well, he's so beyond.
Right, but
like,
that's
it's like he's been successful for damn near close to 30
to him.
years.
It's just, to him it's playing a club.
But he said congratulations and hugged me. I mean, but even he's back at the Comedy Store.
Make sure they spell your name right when they put your name on the wall, because it's very, very possible that Skakel will be LE at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll do it right.
I think Dean Del Rey told me like that he went up there when they were painting his name on the wall. He like double checked. Said like, let me know what time that guy's gonna come up. I want to watch him paint it on the wall. And when he got there, the guy was painting it and like misspelled his name wrong.
Well, that's why Dean's Dean. I mean, he does stuff like that. Most other people, fuck it, I'll just, and then it would have been misspelled forever. So
yeah,
I actually think my name will be on a good part of the wall, though. It'll be out.
You
in
get
front
a pick,
where
right?
There's not that many names. I mean, there's just like the last 15 people who've been passed, and then so
yeah. So when there's a police shootout, that'll be the first.
Yeah,
row of
the
names
bullet will go
blown.
right through my name.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, it could be worse.
The great Kennedy legacy will live on with
You could have it on the bar cover, which there's names on the bar cover, but then they take it down. The TV, the thing that covers that's the worst spot, because no one ever sees your name until after 2 a.m.
They ought to have your name right above the belly room.
So yeah, I mean,
unofficial tour guide Earl Skakel passed.
Oh, those young comics up there now are much worse than me. I mean, there's all kinds of spots, liver spots up at the Comedy Store. So
So what's up next? Like, what do you?
Well, now
what's your immediate goal now? I mean, now the Comedy Store is kind of conquered.
Now just get as many spots as I can, and
are you thinking of doing a special, a CD, anything that?
I mean, I have a CD on iTunes right now that's pretty bad because the recording was
right. I was gonna say it's funny jokes because you make the Beavis and Butthead reference and everything, which was funny. But it's just like the recording's kind of difficult for people to hear.
The recording was awful because I had a Zoom recorder, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I thought I had it facing the crowd. But it was facing me, so you kind of hear my voice, and then you hear like muffled laughter when it was actually good laughter, but the crowd wasn't mic'd. I just wanted to get something on iTunes.
Yeah.
So, but I think anyone who bought the CD, and don't buy it anymore because I didn't re-sign with TuneCore, so I literally don't know where the money goes. Someone bought it last week. They're like, "Hey, I bought it. It was really funny." I'm like, "Well, I didn't get any fucking money out of it." So, I might try and ask Ari Shafir. I know he sells his for like $5 or something on his own website. I might try and do that because TuneCore was a complete ripoff. So, I would suggest not going through them. Their accounting methods were more stranger than Tommy's.
Did you treat yourself to those Kiss shirts for getting past the Comedy Store? Or,
no, I bought those long before I got past. So there's this guy in Bulgaria who makes bootleg Kiss T-shirts. Like he had a Lick It Up Kiss shirt that you can't get anywhere except if it's a real one on eBay for like $500. So this guy's $20 and it's a great looking shirt. And then I doubled the order with a
Was it misspelled or anything?
No, it's great. Looks. I mean, I'm sure Gene and Paul want this guy's number because, shut him down. But I'm assuming that this guy's based in Bulgaria, so Gene probably has a guy on the boots on the ground on Bulgaria looking for this guy.
Jesus Christ.
So, but just try and really the reason every time I actually got a good spot at the Comedy Store, just through sheer luck or, Tommy wasn't there and Barris put me up, I got work out of it.
Yeah.
And I got recommendations. Like one night.
Yeah, Don's always been really good about bringing you on stage or trying to give you a spot on on potluck nights and stuff, even when you weren't on the list. So
Quincy Weekly, actually, a very funny comic at the store, always threw me huge bones by having me co-host potluck with him.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's the thing. Everybody there knew you were fucking funny except for the one guy that has.
But he knew it.
Say it. Right.
That's the thing. It's not like I went up there in front of him and bombed.
Right.
Every time I went up in front of Tommy, I'm not going to say I killed because that would be lying, but I did well to very well. So he just like another classic Tommy story of his hatred towards me. And for those of you listening, like, this is going to sound cocky for me to say, but I think Jordan will vouch for me. And if you don't feel like it, don't vouch for me. But I might be the most well-liked guy in LA comedy.
Yeah.
Not my comedy. But
yeah, but as a person, there's nobody that can say that they don't like you.
Even like, I'm trying to think, even someone like, say, Melissa Villasenor, who, we, kind of awkwardly bump into each other at the Comedy Store. So we're not friends, or we're not even acquaintances. She couldn't even say a bad word about me.
Right. I would say, do you know each other, or was it just one of those things like you don't?
I think because I'm so much older than her, it's always been, I don't know, some weird. She's shy. I'm shy. I'm actually shy, if you could believe that. Like, we worked on a pilot once, and we barely spoke to each other because we were just. You're
introverted people.
We're actually the same person. Yeah. So, but I mean, even someone like her couldn't, if you asked her about me, she'd be like, he's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing that can be. So, Tommy's literally the only person who ever had a problem with me in LA comedy in 15 years.
Yeah.
Just another bizarre story about him is one time I had a showcase for, what ended up becoming Live at Gotham, but I think at the time it was Premium Blend on Comedy Central, and it was like 2007, maybe 2008.
But is that Byron Allen's?
No, that's Comics Unleashed.
Okay.
So I did the showcase with about 5-6 store guys at the Improv, and I'm just saying that night I had the best set. I mean, it was just a zone, and I won't say who, but a Comedy Store employee was there. He goes back to the Comedy Store. I can't say who, but and he doesn't even work there anymore. But he told us.
Who doesn't work there anymore?
He told this to me in confidence, so I'll respect that. But he said he goes back up to the store. Tommy said, "How'd our guys do?" It's like, they did good, but Earl had the best set by far. And he just looked at the guy and said, "Nah."
Just like no way it couldn't be.
What does that mean?
Yeah,
you just had a guy there at the showcase. Said, no, I'm not saying I should have been passed just from that showcase, but
right. Why ask the guy if you're just going to negate his opinion because it wasn't a name that you wanted to hear?
So, okay. There's many other stories.
Yeah, that would rub me the wrong way. I feel you on that.
Well, that's why I gave up there when he was there, because it was just like, what's the point? Like,
right.
I'm trying to please,
and not that you have animosity or anything, but even now that you're past, you're still like, I don't want to see the guy. I don't.
No.
Like he does. He hosts Charlie's House with Laura which
is an open mic,
right?
Book show, whatever you want to call it.
But it's and you know what, dude? I went the first night they did it, and then I went this past week, and they moved the performing area to outside. It really is a fucking really awesome setup. But as much as you love Laura, I
do love Laura.
Yeah, you're just not willing to. You're not willing to go there while he's there, and I get you. I get you. So that's.
Well, I never respected his advice. I mean,
right.
And this is going to sound like I'm shit talking. But once again, I challenge anyone to come up to me, tweet me, Facebook me, and prove that I'm wrong. But he didn't know anything about comedy. He's a guy who, and this is just factual. This isn't like I'm,
right. You're not talking shit. Yeah.
I mean, I think in LA comedy, talking shit is telling the truth. So I guess to that degree, I'm talking shit. But he was a dude who came from Jacksonville, where he ran male review shows and booked shitty 80s bands that I liked. He comes out here.
Which is why you guys got along personally.
Well, I mean, yeah, we actually bonded over Sons of Anarchy, and like we once had an hour conversation about David Lee Roth's solo albums. So we got. I mean, this is why it'll always blow me away. Why I never was past, or we didn't get along on some level. Because we had very similar interests. I'm not that much younger than he is, to be honest with
you. If anything, your comedy should have appealed to him specifically.
Yeah.
Of everybody in the room.
So, I just think that, I never respected his opinion because, it's like asking me how to throw a baseball. I don't know how to fucking do it. So I certainly wouldn't tell a young pitcher, hey, this is how you should do it. And that's exactly him telling me how to do comedy. Was insane. But you had to deal with him because he was the guy.
Right.
So, now he's, like I said, my saving grace or the justice of, my opinion on him is, like I said, if he was
situation now.
He's booking an open mic because no place will hire him. And I've heard through the grapevine, people telling fibs about clubs offering him work, and it's like, God damn, these people in LA comedy are so fucking stupid. Do you think
anybody could say that they were offered work?
Do you think if this guy was offered a job at a comedy club that he'd be booking a fucking open mic down the street from the Comedy Store? I mean, wake up.
Yeah.
And that's not, the people who aren't familiar with LA comedy, me, this guy's got an axe to grind against this guy. But I still maintain.
This is the first time you've actually been able to say this kind of stuff, as far as him being gone and you being in the position that you, like, now it's justified. Now you know that everything you've been thinking for 15 years, as soon as there was a new guy and he saw it, and so the new guy saw that you were talented past you. So everything that you've been thinking is now justified. It's been, come to fruition.
I mean, that's the word I was looking for, actually. My feelings are justified because, like I said, if I'm trying to think of another person who...
Jeff Richards. Jeff wasn't getting any spots.
Jason Galern.
Right.
Danish and O'Neill, two of the funniest dudes, maybe the two funniest dudes up there. They were just like
Holtzman.
Holtzman. I think I said on Red Band's podcast the week after this happened, which is about 3 months ago, everyone looked at me after people were saying their bits and pieces, like, well, Earl, what do you think? I mean, I said, if I could sum up Tommy in one sentence, it's he drove away more talent than he put up.
Yeah.
And
that I've heard on many podcasts. I mean, I can think of, God, Tiffany Haddish, Bert Kreischer, those kind of people all have the same story. They're like, I came to get spots. The guy was rude to me, or the guy flat out told me, show up to the open mic and put your name on the list. Like people who were on TV, people who have things going on, insulted them.
But I'll say this. I mean, you as and it's going to happen with Adam too. I understand that as a talent coordinator of any club in any city, but especially LA, especially Hollywood, you have to have a self-defense mechanism. There's just too many people coming at you.
Yeah.
So I get his need, Tommy's need, Adam's need, Duncan's need before Tommy to be somewhat standoffish. But Tommy's problem was he bullshitted everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, Earl, I like what you're doing late night. Show tomorrow at 9:30. He came to me. I show up at 9:30 the next night. Didn't get on till 2:15.
Jeez.
Whereas Adam will say to someone, hey, I think you're really funny, but there's a lot of people ahead of you.
Yeah.
If you want to show up around 1:30, I'll try and get you on toward the end, but no promises.
Can I ask you what you think of this isn't a judgment or anything either, but I've noticed since Adam's taken over, there's a lot more guest spots. of bigger comedians, which invariably takes away spots from other comics. I saw like last night posted was Zach Galifianakis, and we've had Bob Saget, Dave Chappelle, David Spade, people that
Schneider.
people that weren't performing at this club ever. Now they're doing a lot of pop-in spots. What do you think of that?
I think it's great.
Think it's because it's drawing more people, or it's getting a more diverse comics, or what is it?
I mean, it's just better comics, man. I mean, how could you like, and like tomorrow night, I have a spot at 1:00. It's my first spot. There's always the danger. Dave Chappelle comes in, Bob Saget,
Chris Rock,
whoever, and you know what? I'm okay with that because that's. They paid their dues more than I paid mine. So it's just the rules of the game.
I don't know about that. 15 years, man.
Well, Bob Saget's been doing it for 30.
Yeah.
So if I'm about to go on and Bob Saget comes in, am I going to be disappointed I didn't get up? Absolutely. But if you're losing your spot to Bob Saget, I can live with that.
Yeah.
And I think there's new energy into that place, and not even getting those type of names, but getting someone like a Ryan Stout, who's a fucking great comic. He's starting to come around. Like I don't think I've seen Tom Segura up there, but I mean, I'm sure he'll come around.
I think Red Band's got him in there on Red Band shows, but dude, Joe Rogan's back.
Yeah, Rogan's back.
Joey Diaz is back. Both of those guys were just not willing to come back while Tommy was there.
Well, I mean, Red Band's got that great
the audio recording.
When Red Band did, I think Potluck, and I think Red Band
forgot to turn off his phone.
Yeah, Red Band was recording his set on Potluck, and he went to the cover booth, I think, to get Tommy's advice, which is complete insanity. It's like going to OJ for cutlery advice.
Glove fittings.
Yeah, glove fitting service tips, and Tommy's well, you still there with that faggot Rogan? Are you? And he said some like really awful things.
Yeah, I heard it was. He basically said like, "Oh, I thought you were okay, but now I got to wonder about you if you're hanging out with Rogan all the time."
Yeah,
and still over there.
So you're saying that about one of the biggest comics in the world?
Yeah,
and
who's one fucking hell of a nice guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't really know him that well, but he seems nice, and but I mean that's and this is right.
I mean, I had a conversation with him in the kitchen bar the other day, just in passing. Like we started talking about Dick Gregory, like, and then like Adam walks by and goes, "Oh, I'm actually trying to get him and Paul Mooney on a show together here. Like, I don't know what I think I might have something to work." And we're like, that would be a great fucking show. Yeah. Two of the best black comics probably of all time.
That definitely wouldn't happen under Tommy.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
What do you mean?
And Candace Thompson, a black woman. Anyway, I wouldn't have been on the showcase, and nor would she have been. So, it's just a new era.
Yeah.
And I think now people might think I'm
he did pass, in all fairness to him, he did pass Moses, and didn't he pass
Jamar Neighbors?
Jamar, both.
Well, that's like at that
right
point,
at the end.
I mean, at that point, that was like fucking putting a gum on the hole in the Titanic. I mean, but he still has supporters. Like, oh, he turned the club around. But when he started becoming the talent coordinator, and this could sound like I'm like really an axe to grind against him, but he took over at the worst. Probably the worst era in the store, because it was just all the 80s relic comics were holding on, and and he took on it couldn't have,
and that's a tough thing to kick those guys out.
It couldn't have gotten any worse, and so it had to have gotten better. And I think the false assumption is that he made D'Elia and Whitney, they were going to be big no matter what. He did not make their careers, and that's just the truth. D'Elia was already blowing up at the Factory and the Improv, and Whitney, same thing. So, and he didn't give Whitney spots before she got so big. So I don't want to hear that either, you L.A. Palmers. So And challenge me to something I've said that you think is wrong, because there's a difference between being a shit talker and the truth.
This might be the most animated Inappropriate Earl we've ever had.
Well, because
you're always asking the questions, so you're always very diplomatic. And this is like, I don't think I've ever like seen you this. This is the real Earl coming out like.
But I still maintain I'm not saying anything
right. But
that's
you've
wrong.
you're not the kind of guy that says anything. Like, you don't bring up bitching and complaining at the store. You're just a very like in and to yourself. You talk to everybody, but you're not one of those guys that's gonna like gossip or bring up anything. And I think a lot of people just like would love to know what the fuck goes on through your head. And the way you were seeing the comedy scene, because I agree. Everything you said, I can't disagree with any of it.
Well, I mean, I might be,
and that's from somebody who me is in a unique position, because I have, there's not too many people that hate me up at the store, but I'm not, and I'm not trying to be a comic. So I'm not trying to get in there. I'm not trying to get a spot. I'm not trying to weasel about, but a lot of comics hate people that are hanging out at the store that aren't trying to be a comic too.
Well, I actually think they like it because you're not threatening to them. Like, I'm sure there's haters out there. Why did Earl get passed? Why didn't I get a showcase? Well,
Have you heard anything through the grapevine of anybody bitching about it?
No.
Or?
I mean, I think...
I can't imagine many people thinking you didn't earn it at this point.
I mean, I'm sure there's one or two, but they're probably pretty quiet about it, because I think the majority of people can't really say, well, Candace Earl shouldn't have been passed. So, but I'm sure there are. I mean,
will that help? Does being a Comedy Store past regular, does that help you at all as far as just what you want to do? Is that one that you can check off the list? Is like, that was a big one?
Well, I mean, now I can invite.
Or would you have just been like, if you never got on there, you just, at this point you were past the high of wanting to be part of that thing?
Well, no, I mean, now I can invite people, because I have a fair amount of industry friends who would say, hey, tell us when you got a good show and we'll come out. And, like, I have a friend at one of the big three agencies who was at the showcase, because I invited him because I knew that the cards would be set for me. I before getting past there, I didn't really have a place to invite someone who could help me. I can't invite someone to Dave's Bar and Grill in Glendale.
Yeah, right. At that point, people are going like, "Wait, you have me come into a bar to?"
I can't invite a CA agent to the Ireland's 32 in Burbank or the Liquid Zoo.
Yeah, and any other good spot you get is going to be an Ice House Friday night spot, and it's like, you're good luck getting an agent to go on a Friday night for work.
But like, last night, it got nothing to do with the Comedy Store, but I had a 8:15 spot at the Laugh Factory, so I invited some industry types there, and they showed up, and I had one of the better sets I've had in the last 3 or 4 years. So that's what I want to use the Comedy
Good for you, man. Good for you.
Well, I mean, now it's the ball. Now my foot's in the door. Now I got to keep it there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a
lot. You've got the podcast going. You've got
trying to get this to a certain level, and then now it's on me to have good sets and.
And I've heard Tony Hinchcliffe say this, and he's absolutely right. Once you're past at the Comedy Store, you're a real comic. You're a professional comic. Like that's almost like the that's the doorway of where you're no longer an open micer. You're no longer like there's a prestige to putting in the time and the people at the Comedy Store passing you.
I mean, I would agree to a point with what he's saying. But I mean, I certainly consider myself a real comic 5 years ago. And I would put myself up, and I'm not a very cocky guy at all.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a million comics funnier than me, and with better material and stage presence and all that.
Yeah, but they don't have a bigger dick, do they, Earl?
Nope, and probably not as much money unless.
Okay, Earl, this is one.
But
of those
things. Let me just finish that. I will put myself up against anyone Tommy passed, and feel very comfortable going on after them. So, I agree with what Tony's saying. I mean, And there's definitely I could tell like people look at me differently now because, oh my God, he's passed.
Yeah.
But because I think to some people who don't really get it, it's 100% true what Tony is saying. Like I'm as funny of a comic, you know, 2 weeks ago as I am today.
Yeah.
So getting past it did not make me a better comic.
Yeah.
But there's certainly a prestige to a degree. It's not what it used to mean, but when you're in my position of having nothing, in terms of like outside of Rob Schneider gigs,
Yeah.
like it's good enough. Like,
Yeah.
Montreal's not what it used to mean, but I'd still like to do it.
Of course.
But I mean, a lot of people get Montreal thinking, oh my God, the development deals are just going to come my way. And, I know a
lot of people it does.
Well, not really
a
anymore.
lot of people had great sets and not really much else other than that, really,
It's what you make of it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to make something of getting past at the Comedy Store. I'm not going to just sit there and do the same 10 minutes over and over and over again.
Right, dude. That's my number one complaint with the Comedy Store was that I used to love going every night. And then it got to a point where I would go and I would see who was on the lineup and I go, I know every one of their sets all the way through. Like all of them. I could pretty much recite what set they were going to do that night. And that was 2 years going.
Well, I mean, I'm using it as, like I said, probably I think about 20 minutes ago. Every time I got a good spot there for sheer randomness of, Tommy not being there or whatever, I've gotten work out of that place. Like Owen Smith one time saw me late night. I forgot the reason I was up, but he said, "Hey, let me recommend you this show, man. You're a funny dude." And like maybe someone like Steve Renazizi, who I've known for 10 years, and he's never seen me go up once.
Of course not. Yeah.
Maybe, hopefully one day he sees me go up and go, "Oh, I can recommend him for something."
Yeah. Yeah.
But whereas right now, if there was a part on the league, and I know it just got, it got picked up, and then it's the last season. But
yeah,
if there was down the road,
he put David Taylor on there.
But I mean, he's seen David Taylor grow up for 5 years. Like,
right.
I don't.
Right. That's what I mean. He, it's very, just like you're saying. Like now he knows you're funny. He can think of you for parts or whatever. Or
he'll see me at least go up.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I saw you post. Okay, the other day Adam posted a picture from the front patio of the Comedy Store, and this is what I love about you, Earl. He posted a picture of a guy that looked like you, except add probably 60 or 80 pounds of fat to him.
Earl Fakel.
Yeah. Yeah. So he posts the picture and the first thing you say is, "Did you mean to pass him?"
Yeah.
And I start laughing about that because I mean, it's so Earl. And then 20 minutes later it says, "A dude surrounded by 5 guys and no pussy. That ain't me, brother." Or you say that definitely ain't me, brother. And I just lost it. I'm like, that's the kind of comedy out of you that nobody else at the store has, that like that kind of wit. And it's when you come do it at the Ding Dong show and you're heckling, like I would have passed you just on your heckling. Like you're really fucking funny when it comes to good timing on that kind of shit.
Well, it's like Kenny Lyon last night, and Kenny Lyon's a younger comic who's completely out of his mind, but he's a good dude.
Most of them at the Comedy Store are.
Like I went on late night, after Richards, and Kenny like heckled me, and like I got the room going. It actually helped me get the room going because I put him down pretty hard.
What did you say?
I forget what he said, but I'm like, "Kenny, I don't go heckle you at fucking Marty's." Which Marty's,
the parking lot of the pizza place.
I mean, for those of you who don't know, Marty's is some shithole that a lot of comics play, and they have to pay $5 to play in front of no audience. And it's been going on for like 7 years. And this guy Marty's a fucking genius. Because I told him, I did it once because my ex-girlfriend was hosting, and I still had to pay $5 with my ex-girlfriend hosting. And I saw him at Kookaroo like 3 days later. I'm like, "Dude, thank you for the stage time, but that idea is never going to work. No comics are going to keep paying $5 to play in front of nobody but other comics who aren't listening."
Yeah.
And 7 years later, it's going strong. So
you're really good at comebacks. Because I remember maybe the first time I ever saw you was you were doing. There was a Fallout spot in the Friends and Family part of the open mic. and you get up there and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to get to see Earl do comedy for the first time. You take the stage. I think you did one joke, and Josh Martin walks through and goes, "Shut up, you faggot!" And the thing, right, without missing a beat, you say, "Oh, great, getting heckled after 15 years of being in comedy by a guy that can't pronounce his S's."
Yeah, I mean that's the Comedy Store for you.
Jesus.
So on Monday I got to go up. 'Cause that's one of the perks of being a paid regular is you basically get priority over. Comics who aren't passed.
The homeless people in the back, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the people who are waiting to go on late night. If you're a paid regular and you want to go on, you get to go on. So I went on, and I'm doing pretty good. And then Boone heckles me. And Boone Shakalak is like this homeless transvestite who's like
really fucking funny though, man.
He's like a legend, and
I forget what you said, but I remember what he said. It was
But I mean, that's like the Comedy Store. Like at the Improv, Boone would have been kicked out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, but that goes back to what Tony's saying. I mean, if you're passed up at the store, you've proven that you can handle any condition.
Oh, everybody says it, man. I mean, everybody that does that room says, dude, Joey Diaz told me that. He said there was something missing. Because like right before he came back a week before, I was like, Joey, you know that Tommy's gone. Like, why don't you consider coming back, man? Like I would love to see you perform on that stage. And he said, no, it's not going to happen. He goes, at some point you grow past things and you realize that like in order to move on, you have to grow. You have to leave one thing for a new door to open. And then a week later, when he decided to do it, and he was like really good. We were talking out in the parking lot. He said something was missing. He goes, I'm doing spots at the Ha Ha just because they're close to my house. I'm doing these other spots. And he goes, I'm getting people that don't get it, or they're just soft crowds where I can make them laugh. He goes, I need to get in front of these fucking animals, these people, and that make me uncomfortable, make me think on my feet, make me get that edge back. And within like a week, he's like, yeah, this is what I needed. And that's what he told Rogan. He's like, that's why you need to come back, because you don't know what you're missing out on until you get back on that stage and go, oh shit, this is what it was really supposed to be like.
Oh yeah, the store's the best, man.
And Rogan said the same thing. He's like, yeah, just being on that fucking OR stage, that main room stage, it was like he just loves it there again.
It's the Octagon, man.
Oh, big time. Big time.
So I'm definitely happy I'm there now.
Well, congratulations, dude, man. I'm probably as happy as you are that you got passed.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, most people would shit on a 1 o'clock spot tomorrow night. Oh man, I won't go up. Listen, I told Adam I'm thankful for the spot. So
I can also pretty much bet you're not a guy that will ever call in a spot and say, oh, I'm not going to make it in 20 minutes. Just fuck it.
That. I'm going to take every
I'm tired. I feel like hanging out of my house. You're not that guy.
I'm going to take every spot I get, man.
That's right, man.
And be happy with it. And
I'm sure your loyal inappropriate Earlites will.
Oh yeah, I mean,
now be excited now. I mean, Jesus, this is like.
Now I have a place to, say
for them to come see you.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of LA listeners who are like, "Hey, man, we want to come check you out." I'm like, I can't invite you guys. If I'm not going to invite an agent to a show, I don't want to invite like an actual fan to see me eat it at like fucking
right. And Will, you've made a huge new fan base with these big three guys, the people that have come, that come on these excursions, once a year to celebrate the big three. They got like, I'd say 50 to 75 people flying in from out of town that are fucking obsessed with the big three, and they've all become fans of yours. And it's like when they come to town, they want to do one thing. They want, as soon as the Comedy Store opens, they want to hang out and they want to experience what everybody talks about at the Comedy Store. And they're getting fucked over because then you're not performing there. And it's like, they don't know where the fuck Marty's is or Sal's Comedy Hole. They don't even have a car here. Most of them are cabbing it or walking. It's like, you now are in the position of like, all these people that love you can see you on the stage.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure even tomorrow night there'll be a few people extra in there at 1 a.m. to, come check it out. And, now I can say, hey, man,
It should be easier to save money on Backpage now too.
Well, I don't do Backpage, man. You know, I got $15 coming every week now.
Gotta save up a long time to pay for those.
Oh, they're all cunts, man.
And on that note,
these fucking girls out here, you have a house, they want a fucking mansion. You got a condo, they want a house. You give them the finger, they want the fist. You give them the fist, they want the leg. You got a TV deal, they want a movie deal. You got a holding deal, they want a development deal. You're a producer, they want you to have points. You have points, they want you to own the studio. These twats out here are never, ever satisfied with what you give them.
And if you don't believe Earl, just ask me, because he's fucking right.
But you know what? At the end of the day, I think as many people have realized, you think the grass is greener on the other side of Earl, but usually it ends up being shit brown.
Boom.
So
Suck it.
Suck on that. You might find a guy with more money than me, but he won't have a bigger dick. You might find a guy with a bigger dick and more money, but he won't fucking have my personality. You might find a guy with a bigger dick, more money, and a nicer car, but he won't be as nice as me. You know, I'm the real package. And any
limousine riding.
It's true.
High flying. Alligator shoes.
Any girl who's ever dated me, tell me where I'm wrong. I'm the perfect package. I'm not perfect, but I'm the perfect package. You won't find a better combo in LA comedy than a guy who's funny, a big dick, money, a paid off condo, a paid off car,
a dog.
A dog everyone loves. Not some fucking dirty mutt. And, you know, good luck finding all 6 of those things with these ham and eggers. You might find a guy who's got more TV credits. You might find a guy who's like a bad boy. He'll fuck you for a month. And then once the allure of your new pussy wears off, you'll be going, gee, maybe Earl wasn't so bad after all.
Yeah. And when you ask your guy, do the mangina for me, do Buffalo Bill, and he won't do it, fuck you.
Hey, Johnny, why don't you take me to dinner? Oh, I don't have 2 pennies to rub together. Well, there you go.
And on that note, this has been Inappropriate Earl.
Where can they find you, Jordan?
Jordan the Lion on Twitter, Instagram, Jordan Lee on Facebook.
And I am Inappropriate Earl. You could find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's just at Earl Skakel, EARL SKAKEL, and we're on SoundCloud and iTunes. Got some guests coming up. Got Jamie St. James, the Saint, the singer from Black and Blue. We're gonna break it down. They were on Simmons Records back in the day. We're gonna see how shitty of a music mogul Gene Simmons was. And
Earl, I think we should make December 4th National Earl Day.
Is it December 4th? Oh, yeah. Well, it's December 10th. December 11th is my first paid regular spot for those of you in LA. Tonight, this will be released, when I say tonight, it's, will be today, I guess, 24 hours from now. Earl will be on the OR stage in the Comedy Store at 1 a.m. right before Don Barris, which is actually, you'd think 1 a.m., my God, who wants to go see comedy at that late? But at the Comedy Store anyway, that's when the show gets really going. So
I usually don't even leave my house till midnight anymore.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there'll be a lot
come to the store. I mean, no, but I mean that's how much of a late night rendezvous that is for people that know.
Definitely late night. I mean, but there's some great comics in the beginning too, and in the power hour you'll see the D'Elias, the Brian Callens, and those the TV comics, and then at late night you get the comics who hopefully one day will be on TV or whatever. Not that TV's the end all be all of what a good comic is, but it's exciting to be able to see comics. You can say, I saw them at 1 a.m. in front of 8 people. Now I see them on Letterman or whatever. So that is it. Rate and review us on iTunes. It helps. The more reviews, more, we're trying to get featured on iTunes. I mean, that's the goal on this podcast, just to get more listeners so I can get better guests. And, such is life in the podcasting world. It's all about the illusion. So, and I leave the bad reviews up too, although there aren't too many. I do. One guy said I should leave the podcasting to the big boys. is probably a Eddie Trunk nut swinger. So, it's like, I love Eddie Trunk. Eddie Trunk is a very famous DJ in New York. He has his own Sirius radio show, and he keeps the torch of 80s metal alive. He's also the host of that metal show on VH1. A lot of people think of us as competition. And one, he probably doesn't even know who I am, but I have no beef with Eddie Trunk. I mean, he is really the only voice outside of me who talks about bands from the 80s. So I got no grudge against Eddie, but Eddie, you're not the only one who can interview guys from the 80s, so I'm just trying to make a dent in your market space.
Fuck that, you're trying to get people to buy the 80s records so those guys will have a living.
Well, I don't get any money if someone buys the Rat CDs, so
right.
You want to make daddy money, just someone sponsor Inappropriate Earl, or other than Stephen Piercy's at Mike Knuckles. So this has been a great episode of Inappropriate Earl. I'm not going to edit anything out. I don't. It's a warts and all.
You can't.
Well, I can actually. So, but it's like Cinderella's live album at the Key Club. They didn't touch it up once because it's one of my favorite live albums. Even though I don't think people would put it up there with like Frampton Comes Alive or Kiss Alive. But if you think Kiss Alive was a live album, Rock Hudson is more alive than Kiss Alive. So Kiss Alive had more seriously, Kiss Alive had more fucking ghost musicians on it than a fucking haunted house. So, and Kiss Alive 2 was even worse than Kiss Alive. I mean, that was like 8 fucking concerts cut together in the studio with piped in fucking crowd noise. So, but I still love Kiss. Paul Stanley went on Joe Rogan's podcast, but I guarantee, and I love Rogan, and he could kill me in under.
Dude, speaking, thank God for Rogan, man. I'm walking through the Comedy Store the other day. I look up and there's Joe Perry walking by from fucking Aerosmith.
Yeah, I mean, Rogan's the real deal.
Yeah, he was there because Rogan, he just been on Rogan's podcast the other day. It's like, that was awesome.
And I love
Joe
Rogan.
Perry. Oh, I mean,
I'm a big UFC guy, so I'm actually more a fan of Rogan's, and that's why I want to talk to him at the store, but I know he probably is sick of people bugging him about the UFC, but that's like the fan in me wants to talk to him about Alistair Overeem and all that shit. But I'm
very approachable guy.
Yeah, but I'm sure he doesn't want to talk UFC when he's at a comedy club. So, but Paul Stanley just did his podcast.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one.
Well, I love Joe, and this is not an insult toward him, but I guarantee you, I think I would do a better interview with Paul Stanley because I would talk to him about shit that nobody talks to him
Right.
about.
You're more of a diehard as opposed to a casual.
Yeah. Well, I think Joe's a Kiss fan.
He is. He loves them, but I don't think he couldn't go toe to toe with Vinnie Vincent stories and
Mark St. John.
Yeah, right. The real the real history, the history of it all.
I have a PhD in history. I mean, I could break down Mark St. John's discography. Probably one of my proudest memorabilia artifacts upstairs is my friend Brent Fitz, who drums for Slash, which is great because he is a guy I used to see in Eagle Rock on Sunday nights playing a shitty covers band in front of 4 people. And he's a great drummer. And
That's awesome.
It was killing me to see this guy from Canada come here just like we came. Well, I mean, I'm from here, but you came here from the Midwest and now he's playing in arenas and stadiums with Slash. And it's just, Brent's a great dude. But, I could break down. Brent got me a Mark St. John autograph while Mark St. John was alive, and I have
as opposed to an autograph while he was laying in the coffin, and
he's dead now. Another guy Gene and Paul killed. So,
and on that note,
yeah, check out Mark St. John. Go get his album. He's dead, so I don't know who gets the publishing, but
probably Gene and Paul.
No, go buy his album White Tiger. He was in the band White Tiger after Kiss. Gene and Paul's bullshit machine said he couldn't play anymore because he had writer's syndrome, which is an arthritic condition. And a year later, he's playing in a band touring. So I think the problem was Mark St. John was too flashy of a player. He was like from Randy Rhoads type of, guitar playing. And Gene and Paul were like, he couldn't play the same note twice. Well, Gene, you were off in the fucking Miami Vice set doing Prodigal Son, episode 7 of season 2, so you didn't know what the fuck he was doing. And you're making your movie with Rutger Hauer, Wanted Dead or Alive. But actually, that was in '87, so Mark was long gone back then. And by the way, just a quick review. Jordan, do you have 2 minutes for me to go into Sons of Anarchy?
Of course.
All right, Sons of Anarchy ended 2 days ago. The final ride. It was a so-so finale. I mean, yeah, basically everyone fucking died. I mean, and I'll say this, Charming is the shittiest police force ever, because the last 15 minutes, Jax is killing everyone in the fucking city, and I didn't see one cop chasing him toward the end. But Kurt Sutter got me back by having Michael Chiklis.
They were probably chasing all the black people in the neighborhood.
Well, there are no black people in Charming.
Well, there we go.
So
got them all.
And one of the main bad guy works out at my gym, so it's weird to see him. Like, I'm such a fan of the show. Every time I see him, I'm like, oh, shouldn't you be in Charming running Booger Sugar?
Who, Emilio or
no? Well, I don't want to. He's the main black Billy Brown. He's
okay.
The guy in the suit, really good looking black dude.
Right.
Who's in a lot. He's one of the probably top working actors right now. He was in Kevin Bacon's show, The Following.
Okay.
He was in Dexter. He always has a great death. He got killed in Dexter, killed in Sons of Anarchy, killed in The Following. But it was an average finale. I mean, it was okay, but Michael Chiklis, the end scene, and I'm assuming anyone who's a super fan of the show has already seen the finale.
If not, Earl's going to spoil it, so just
spoiler alert,
quit bitching and crying.
Spoiler
and turn
alert.
it off now.
Yeah. So and by the way, before I get to the spoiler alert, this will give you time to turn it off. For you people who think you can do a better fucking job doing a podcast and give me advice on how to do this one, I tell you what you do. You go to Amazon, you buy all the fucking gear, the mixing board, the mics, the fucking headphones, the Zune recorders, all the speakers, all the wires, all the fucking batteries. You figure out where to put all the buttons, where I'll put all the fucking cables. You figure out how to record a fucking podcast, how to edit it, then how to put it on SoundCloud, which goes to iTunes. And when you do it better than I do, then you can fucking tell me how to do my podcast.
They probably all have their own podcast at this point.
Yeah, I mean, back to Sons of Anarchy. Michael Chiklis is driving the truck, and Jax commits suicide by driving right into the truck. And I thought that was a great, it was a little homage to The Shield by bringing in Vic Mackey to take out Jax Teller. And there was, that's what I loved about Sons of Anarchy. They always used a couple guys from The Shield, and it's great to see Walter Goggins as Venus Van Dam, the transgendered prostitute that Tig Kim Coates is fallen in love with. So a lot of butt fucking in those last 2 episodes of Sons of Anarchy. I mean, there were some anal scenes. There's this one scene where Juice is getting fucked by these Chinese gang members in prison, but it had nothing to do with anything. It was a totally unnecessary scene.
Just getting their friend a day rate.
But I mean, it had nothing. It was a total add-on. Like you didn't really need that scene. And
yeah,
that's
right. They were just trying to help one of their buddies get a scene in the last episodes.
Yeah, it's like obviously Kurt Sutter was friends with these 2 Asian character actors who just needed a scene. He's like, all right, you want on the show? This is
rape these guys.
You get the fuck. Juice in the ass. So good acting by Marilyn Manson as the white supremacist. Although I was disappointed they didn't bring back Mitch Pileggi, who many of you may know as Horace Pinker from Shocker. And he's also in Dallas. He was a great white supremacist on Sons, Darby. And they didn't bring back Adam Arkin either. He was good as the white supremacist in season 2. And they also cut Peter Weller off in the last episode. They gave him like half of a line before Jax kills him. So, I mean, it's fucking RoboCop. Give him a couple lines, for God's sakes.
No respect, those sons of bitches.
Peter Weller, he directed a lot of episodes. So, he literally, Jax walks into the bakery that Peter Weller owns, and he looks up and goes, hey, Jackie, and then he gets killed. So it's not how I would have done it, but that's why Kurt Sutter's living in a mansion, and I'm, doing episode 48 of Inappropriate Earl.
And fighting with people that are
Yeah, fired.
Bitching about your fucking podcast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't tell Joe Rogan how to announce a UFC podcast or broadcast because I don't know how to do it. I've never done it before.
Well,
so
like Joey says on his podcast, he goes, all you people that want to bitch about how quiet the podcast recorded, it's a free fucking service. Shut the fuck up and turn it off. If you don't like the way it is, it's fucking free.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I mean, I am looking right now at a mixing board, 2 digital recorders, 3 sets of headphones, 3 microphones, hundreds of dollars of cables and various audio gear.
Doohickeys, knobs, and switches.
And I haven't made a fucking dollar on this podcast. I do it I literally, Paul Stanley says we kisses in it for the fans. Bullshit. He's in it for the fans' money. I'm not even getting my fans' money yet. So, and I don't want it right now, but, help spread the word or something. Tweet about it. I've got this. And by the way, I want to cover this too, because there is a new Twitter account called Earl, and it's a super fan. He's out of control, favoriting and retweeting.
I'm pretty sure I have an idea of who it might be.
I don't know who it is, but it's not me because, I know a lot of fucking con artists in the LA scene. They say, hey, go check out my buddy Jimmy Jackson's comedy show at the Chuckle Hut. And it's actually Jimmy Jackson.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think I know who it is. And I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know it's not Earl, but I'm 99% sure I know who it is.
Well, I once,
and it is just somebody who's a huge fan of you.
But that's great.
And he doesn't want to be on Twitter or Facebook or anything himself anymore. So he's just doing it in homage to you.
But those are the fans you want. I mean, that's the great thing about the Ding Dong Show and the big 3 podcast fans. And I think this guy won't mind me saying his name, but Prince Vince, who's an amazing fan of both of those projects. I was having trouble with. It's one of the episodes of Inappropriate Earl I erased over, and he's like, well, you could probably get it back. And he took me through all these steps. And so it's great to have fans who can help when, you need it. And so all I ask in return for me spending literally thousands of dollars to do this is just spread the word. Because the bigger the show gets, the better the guests are. Because I definitely run up against...
And if you know Paul Stanley, tell Paul Stanley to quit hiding from Earl and do the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, Paul will break down Vinnie Vincent, Mark St. John. We'll talk about Punky Meadows auditioning for Kiss, Robin Crosby, Richie Sambora. I'm not going to ask you what dealing with Gene's like or what Ace and Peter. You've been asked that question a million
and nobody
times.
cares because they've heard it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on it. No one, I guarantee you, no one's had the balls to ask Paul Stanley about Vinnie Vincent's craziness or Mark St. John and actually have in-depth follow-ups to hit you with. And it's not a sandbag interview. I just trying to, get you out there in the podcast land. Like you need my help after going on Rogan's, but you never know. Some of these, Stephen Pearcy was great. He didn't need to do the fucking podcast, but he loved it and exposed him to younger fans of mine who might not know who Rat is. So made a couple bucks. So it's kind of long-winded ending, but Jordan, once again, you're welcome here anytime. You're actually a great guest and interviewer.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
And, follow Jordan's acting exploits. And what was that thing we did on YouTube?
Dad's Home.
What? Yeah. And did they just YouTube Dad's Home?
Yeah, it's on there somewhere.
It's real funny.
It's all right. It is. It's
for no money and budget. I mean, it's...
it was a fun project. It was my me trying to do something, not knowing really what I was doing, but just feeling it out, and it is what it is. It was funny. You guys were like you were funny in the ways that I like you guys.
But yeah, it's like it's like the first couple episodes of this podcast.
Tebow, Don Barris, Mary Jane.
Yeah, and that fucking
if
girl
you like them, you'll like them. Yeah.
That girl who was as green as a leprechaun. I mean, that girl had the acting chops of Lorenzo Lamas. So, but it's so look up Daddy's Home on YouTube, pump up the views on that. Yeah. I've got some pretty funny videos on YouTube. Not just my stand-up, but just various acting things. I did a Doritos commercial and bench warmers and all that shit. So subscribe to me on YouTube too, because, I didn't know this, but thanks to my friend Whitney, if you get 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, you can use their YouTube space, which is all full editing bays, full green screen.
Plus, I think you get paid.
Yeah, there's definitely, but it's like getting spots at the Comedy Store for me. I don't care about the money.
Right.
but to be able to access YouTube's high def cameras and digital equipment.
Oh yeah, you can take some really great digital headshots with those.
Oh yeah, I want to do a parody of Homeland while I have the beard and whatnot. But we'll have another episode of Inappropriate Earl next week. And I don't know who the guest is yet. It's hard to get these guys down here, so that's why you gotta get us featured on iTunes with the reviews and all that shit. Because the bigger this is, the more easier the sales pitch it is to get them to come to me. And that is it. Inappropriate Earl, SoundCloud, iTunes, Jordan Lee at Jordan Lee on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, Daddy's Home. And if you're in LA and you hear this in time, Comedy Store tomorrow night, Daddy's paid regular debut, 1 a.m. And then you get to see Don Barris right after because I get to bring him up. So that is all. Alistair Overeem fighting Saturday night in Phoenix. Let's see what roids he took to get back on the winning track.